Hello, everybody. It is such a thrill to be back here. The last time I was on this stage, I'm getting teary-eyed, it was 2017. And that was before the world turned upside down, right? It was also before my husband, Gene, was diagnosed with aggressive cancer, and the only treatment we could find that gave us hope was in Phoenix at Mayo Clinic. So we packed up our family home of 40 years and moved to Phoenix, and I am so grateful to tell you that my beloved husband, Gene, is doing great. So, yeah. And that's been a journey because some of you know my first husband died from cancer when I was 29. So I signed up for quite the lifetime of needing to be reminded that we are divine beings here, having a brief physical journey, not the other way around. And when you're broken open with grief and loss, your heart opens. And that's how we connect to the divine, not from our ideas, not from our brilliant minds, from our hearts. That's where we connect to the sacred. So I have been so blessed in my work in the last 20 years because I have been able to work with grieving clients. And grieving clients are my favorite people in the world because they have had their hearts broken wide open. They have experienced the pure heart of knowing that this physical world is not the most important thing going on here. And of all my grieving clients, the most amazing ones are the grieving moms. Do you guys know that when you have a child, you carry that child's DNA in your body forever? So there's my beautiful daughter, Sarah. I'm so blessed to have her, and she's all grown up now, and I am connected to her forever, as all moms are connected to their beautiful children. So when I started working with grieving moms, I thought it was going to be very hard to do that because I understand motherhood, and the thought of losing my baby girl was terrifying to me. But these woo-woo moms have been my greatest teachers. And what do I mean by woo-woo moms? Well, these are moms who all have told me that they were very logical, left-brain people. Some of them were scientists and MDs. I mean, very, very intelligent, very, very smart. And suddenly, their child crossed over, and the signs they started getting, no matter what they believed in before their child crossed, they got absolute proof of the divine from their departed children. Now, I have a fun one to share with you today because, are those slides on, Steve? Okay. So my favorite woo-woo mom that I've been working with in the past few years is a woman named Gail. And like many of those grieving moms, she told me a very sad story about her son passing suddenly right before his 21st birthday. And she said the first year she was just in deep grief and deep shock, as we do go into. But in the midst of that, her son would call out to her. He would leave her signs that she just couldn't argue with. And so she had to start considering that maybe these were real signs from her departed son. And then she told me this amazing story. It was the year anniversary, they call it the angelversary, of her beautiful son, Jake, crossing over. And she had gone to the graveyard and was putting down flowers and crying. And she said to her departed son, "Jake, I really, really need a sign today." She said, "I really need a visual sign to prove that you are with me, that you're still coming to visit me, that you still live on." And if you've ever been brokenhearted in grief, you know that place you get to where you're just begging to the universe to lift you up from the physical and show you the divine realms in a way that you won't dispute. So Gail left some flowers at Jake's grave, and then she got in her car to drive home on the freeway. And this truck almost caused a wreck. It pulled out in front of her. Can you read that? She had to slow down not to hit the truck. And she said she was crying so much that at first she was just like cursing, going, you know, what is this truck doing? And then she looked. If you can't see that slide, it says Jake Transport in huge letters. First of all, I have never seen a truck say Jake on the back, have you? So this is just one of the stories that I get to hear working with these amazing moms. I mean, I will never forget that story because she pulled out the phone and took that picture, and then she posted it on a page where grieving moms meet and share signs. And that story still really helps moms, especially who are grieving. But that's just one story. That's just one amazing story. And the next, let's see if I can do this. Oops, wrong. There we are. Did you guys know that according to research, more than 60 million Americans have experienced seeing, feeling, and hearing the presence of their departed loved one? We are not talking about the weird, odd few. We are not talking about the Boulder people, because I lived here 40 years, and I can tell you this is normal in Boulder. But, but I live in Phoenix, Arizona now, and Phoenix is a very different place. And guess what? I have met this enormous group of moms there, all grieving moms, who are the most enlightened souls I have ever met in my life. They sit around, we meet for coffee, and they tell me their stories of their departed and how their departed came to them in the moment of crossing over. There's one mom who I love named Elizabeth Boisson. She started a whole organization for grieving moms called helpingparentsheal.org, if you ever want to check it out. But her son, her 19-year-old son, was climbing Everest with a group of other college students, and they were just going to go to the base camp. It was part of a college project. And he got to the base camp, and they had taken them too quickly to base camp, and he got severely altitude sick. And they called Elizabeth, the mom from Everest, and said, we don't think your son is going to make it. We can't revive him. And as she's on the phone saying, I love you, Morgan, I love you, it's okay, if this is your time to go, I love you, I'm with you, he hugged her. She said she felt it so strongly that she thought her husband had walked in the room and was coming up behind her and hugging her. And she turned around, there was nobody in the room with her. And she knew that Morgan had already left his body and had come to wrap his arms around his mom and comfort her. So 60 million Americans can't be wrong, right? And what is it that we need to remember in these days of troubled times on earth? I guess we can legitimately call it that, right, Daniel? Troubled times in the earth realm here. I mean, who of us ever thought we'd live through a pandemic? And who of us ever thought we'd live through the crazy politics that have been going on? Well, I think it's all happening on purpose because consciousness is shifting right now. Everything is accelerated. So what that means is that all of you, all of us, are being asked to wake up while we're still here in the physical world. We're no longer allowed here to just live in the physical and believe that's all there is, because that is no longer serving the evolution of consciousness. We have done wonderful things with our left brain logic minds. We've built amazing structures and buildings and created amazing art and done such wonderful things in humanity. And yet we're still starving half the people on the planet. We're still believing that meanness and bullying is okay. We're still believing that discrimination is acceptable. These are not things in alignment with our higher consciousness. Unity teaches the most amazing principles of God. And when I started to become a Unity minister 4 years ago, I came to Jack's first church here in Boulder in 1980, 1981. So I had been following along, also studying Hinduism and Buddhism, because Boulder offers the most amazing venues for studying all religions. So I had been a student of all religions. I grew up Catholic. And what I was learning is that they all hold this one principle that goes through every religion, that there is a higher presence here, however you define it, whatever names you put to it. But in my opinion, unity defines it best. Unity is based on 5 principles, and the first one says, this is an all good, all God universe. And we are all in alignment with it, which means that God, universe, consciousness pours through each of us. Feel that in your heart for a minute, that you are not trying to connect to a God outside of yourself. You are connecting to the God in your heart. That's how easy it is to feel your own God consciousness, to connect to your divinity. And this is why grief opens us so wide to connect to that divinity, because it breaks us open to where we get on our knees and say, I don't know the answers to anything anymore. I surrender. And in that beautiful moment, God love pours through us. And Unity captured it in their philosophy and their principles. The second Unity principle is, and I am all good because I am part of this all good, all God universe. Imagine if you really believed that. Imagine if you really knew you haven't ever made a mistake. You've done nothing wrong. You are on your own journey of learning, of evolution, and every lesson, every heartbreak, every mistake has been exactly what you needed to experience to evolve into your full God consciousness. This is the message that our departed loved ones come back so loud and clear to tell us. And these kids are like nothing I've ever seen. I'll tell you what, once you start working with grieving parents and their kids are coming through to you and talking to you, you realize that they have a message for Earth. And they are going to come back in every way they can to tell us. And the message is, hey guys, it's not about being the best physical being down there. It's about being aware that you are a spiritual divine consciousness. It's about love. And isn't that ironic? Here we are in this crazy world where people are hating on each other and acting insane, and we're here to learn love. It's one of the greatest parodies, one of the greatest funny ironies about being human is we drop in here, we forget our divinity, we go about thinking we've got to be strong and even sometimes win things, be the competitor who overcomes their competition, when really we're just here to love each other with pure compassion, soul to soul. And the Hindus teach a lot of beautiful things, and one of the things they teach is that there are 4 paths to being able to live in constant connection with God, constant connection with the divine. And the first one I love, they say, is selfless service. So that means to most people, people think, oh, I forgot, I need to go do some more volunteering and all that. Well, just think about it this way for a minute. When was the last time you went into Starbucks or someplace and you could tell that somebody was having a bad day? Maybe it was the barista, and you simply loved on her. You simply said, hey, but you're doing great, you look gorgeous, or whatever it would take to lift her energy, to help her feel better. That is a form of selfless service that we can do no matter how quarantined we are, no matter how crazy the world is, that anyone you interact with, your job as a divine being is to help them remember that they're okay. God is in them. God is in all of us. And that's as easy as saying, hey, you look gorgeous today, and watch them light up. And if you can also go and volunteer and feed the homeless, that's also great. The second one is meditation. Well, fortunately, you guys are at Unity. You know all about meditation. And I love the Hindu practice of meditation in particular. I spent many, many years here in amazing Hindu ashram learning from the greatest meditation teachers. What I learned from that was that they use sacred sound of mantra, Sanskrit mantra, and that it hypnotizes the brain into quieting down. And once that brain quiets down, do you know what happens? Your heart takes the main stage. And that, in a summary, is the purpose of meditation. Quieting down the crazy monkey mind so that our heart can lead the way. And the third one, they say, is prayer or conversations with God. Now, the great thing about Unity is that Unity knows we're not supposed to be praying to a God outside of ourselves and begging that God to save us. Instead, we pray saying, I affirm that I'm a powerful divine being and I'm here on purpose, and this challenge that I'm going through is no greater than I am, and I am going to override this challenge as gracefully as I can because I know it's here to teach me something, and I am open to that lesson. That's a very different kind of prayer. Not, please take this away from me. Instead, it says, all right, if this is on my plate and I have to go through this, and I know some of you in the audience are going through tough things, and my heart is with you. And there's a point in life where you simply have to say, okay, I have to walk this journey. And in that moment, that is the moment where we really have to pray in a different way. We have to say, show me the lesson and help me see it in a way that I can move through it gracefully. And we can also call out to be lifted up energetically. I often just say, please God, please divine consciousness, please departed loved ones, help me lift my energy today. Help me speak only words of divine love. Any prayer like that is instantly answered. And don't forget, all Gail did was cry at the graveyard and ask her departed son for a strong visual sign, and look what she got. That is how quickly the universe will step in to help you, to remind you that you've got this, that there's an answer coming at the right moment, no matter how painful it may be in the moment. The fourth one is spiritual inquiry and open-mindedness. You know what I love about that? As we get older, we tend to think, okay, well, I already went to school. I don't need to learn anymore. I can just get kind of locked down in what I already think or already believe. Well, I think that's what happens when we give up and aging gets really painful, because we're saying to our soul, hey, I'm not learning anymore. But instead, if we say, wow, I'm turning 70 in September, and I'm starting to think maybe I should get a master's in divinity. What do you guys think about that? I'm serious. And the reason I say that is that the last 4 years of school for me were hard as heck. I mean, God had to get this brain going, had to read all kinds of books every week and write papers. And there were times when I would just be in tears going, I'm quitting at the end of the semester. Like maybe every semester, right, Sarah? Yeah, every semester. Every semester I said I'm quitting at the end of the semester. But then you sign up for the next one and you keep learning. And every semester there was at least one class that would just blow me away, the things I was learning, and would change me cellularly to open my heart. If any of you are needing a spiritual reboot, I really do invite you to go sign up, take classes, become a Unity minister, because it'll just rock your world. It's so beautiful. It's based on such loving principles. And I'll be ordained in the spring. My fellow students are watching this online. Hey, Ken. Hey, everybody. You'll make it too. We'll make it. So the next slide. This is my favorite. So we talk about all these things about meditation being important to quiet the mind. But do you remember that most beautiful thing in the Bible, the Beatitudes in Matthew? And Jesus says, "Blessed are the pure of heart, as they will see God." Let me say that again. Blessed are the pure of heart, as they see God. And what that means to me is that every day you can see God in everyone when your heart is pure, when your heart is open. Even the most annoying, obnoxious person in your life can come to you and you can see God in them when your heart is open. And if we've learned anything in 2020, I think it's that ideas and arguments and mental belief systems, forget it. We're not going to win that war. We used to believe, well, if I have all the right ideas and I'm really educated and I have the right answers, I can convince that person of something. That paradigm has shifted. Instead, we're in the paradigm of going, my brother, I don't agree with your ideas, but you know what? I see your soul. I know you're doing exactly the best you can on your journey, and I love you for that. And I open my heart to hear you and to hear your story, and most importantly, to hear your pain and love on you for it. That approach brings us heart to heart with anyone. Some of you know I've got a brother who is diametrically opposed to me in every way, politically and everything. And I have to work all the time at that, because when we start talking like young kids together again, pure of heart, I completely love my brother and he loves me. And as long as we can stay out of the cerebral ideas. And here's the other thing, we don't have to change another person's mind. Haven't we learned this in 2020? We just have to live pure of heart ourselves. And that shifts the vibration here. If all of you here, Unity Awakened Souls, just went through your day pure of heart, higher consciousness, not engaging in the lower negativity of arguing or ideas, you would end up at the end of the day having made incredible connections with people you never thought you'd be connected to. And that's how we're meant to be living here now. Then there's this beautiful quote also from Matthew that I love so much, because in the Bible it's in the story of the night before Jesus is crucified. And you know, in Unity we believe that Jesus was our enlightened teacher, that he is something that all of us, his consciousness, his Christ consciousness, is something we can all achieve here. And so he had his dark nights of the soul, just like we do. And when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane before he was crucified, he said, My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass me by. Nevertheless, let it be as you, not I, would have it. Then a little while later, Jesus says, if this cup cannot pass by, but I must drink it, your will be done. And to me, what that quote means is that in the moment of Jesus really having to step forward into his divinity, knowing all the pain and suffering that was coming, we can kind of parallel that to the moment when we're choosing to jump into a lifetime here on earth, and we know a lot of pain and suffering is coming in our learning journey. We say, if this is the path I must take, divine will be done. And in grief, we reach that place very quickly. That moment of going, if my beautiful son is gone, then I have to be in alignment with this divine will. Or even for some of you, if my beloved person is sick or suffering, and I have to walk that journey with them and try to help them, then I accept the divine will of that. And if we face our own illness, our own challenges, we can also find that surrender for ourselves. Thy will be done to help me move through this with grace, courage, and love. So a reminder, and it was funny being up here preparing for this talk because there was so much technical stuff to do. We had to get the microphones working, and of course I always have trouble with microphones, and we couldn't get the hair one to work because my hair messes with it. And in the midst of all that, I was thinking, you know, that is the hard part of life here. We get all inspired with our divinity, all connected, all very clear on the signs, and then the darn microphone won't work, and we're pulled down into the physical world, and we're in the minutia, right? And the minutia is where we often lose our remembrance of who we are and what we're here for. And that minutia can be anything, you know, if you go to a job every day, it can be as simple as somebody bugging you in the hallway, or doing something in your cubicle, or not doing the coffee pot in the sink the way they're supposed to. And if we're running a family at home, then yeah, it can be about somebody not cleaning the counters in the kitchen. I'm sorry, Sarah, please forgive me for that. But we have to be aware when we're pulled into that minutia that is not the real picture of who we are and why we're here, and to pull up and get the long view. And one of my fun things I do a lot lately is talk about my soul review, because it reminds me how to live with the long view. Every departed loved one I've ever connected to, including my first husband back in 1979, followed by Chrissy a couple years later, and my dad, Marv, they all came back and told me so much about what goes on when you cross over. And they all say that the first thing that happens is you're held in this loving energy from your higher guides, your ancestors, loving consciousness, and you review your life from your soul's perspective. And you see, and you're held in a way that it's not painful to you. You don't go back and relive the hard parts of it. Instead, you just go, oh yeah, look at that. Look how you were behaving there when you were 16. Well, it sounds a lot like that movie, what's the name of that movie? Defending your life, right? Exactly. That's how it is. You review it, you get little slide shots of it, and you go, oh, that wasn't good. And then they'll go into the future and they'll go, but look, see, you were learning to love here. And here, look, you were courageous. And look, you didn't give in to fear there. And oh, you ended your life by really making a difference for a lot of people, helping a lot of people. That's the ripple effect you want to see when you're doing your soul review. And so if we can live remembering that soul review is coming, and it's coming a lot quicker than we think, because this conscious world operates in a weird time zone so that it feels like forever when we're down here, and then we cross over and it's just been a minute since we were there with our loved ones. But every time you think about what should I do in this situation, you can go, how is this going to look in my soul review? Am I going to be the Albert Brooks character going, oh my God, I can't believe I did that? Or am I going to be able to be the Meryl Streep character in that movie who rescues the children from the burning house, right? So when you can live as if you know that soul review is coming and you take that long view, it will really, really help you make the right choices here. So, in summary, the main point is that if you quiet your crazy monkey mind, your heart can lead the way. And it takes spiritual practice to do that. It takes meditation, and it takes going out and loving on people. Going out and looking eye to eye, soul to soul, and saying, I love you. I love you. We are all souls on a journey here. We are all doing the best we can. And if we can just keep remembering that and living as if we know that soul review is coming and staying open to the learning that's here to teach us, then when we get to the end of our journey, we can say, okay, phew, I did it. Maybe I don't have to go back. You know, one of the things my departed husband told me, he died in 1979 of cancer, and I've written about it and talked about it a lot. But the most important thing, he's come back to tell me a lot, but one of the most important things is that he came back to show me he had a great job on the other side. And his job was helping people review their lives when they cross over. And Paul was always like a counselor, you know, in his life here. He had gotten a master's in divinity, but he didn't believe in fundamental Christianity, so he was kind of in a spiritual seeking journey when he crossed over. And by the time he crossed over, he was all love. He was just pure love. And he came back to say, now I get to help people process their life when they cross over, and he was so happy. And then he said, when you finish up down there, I get to train you and you'll get to do this too. And I was like, yay! I have a good job waiting for me. My mother always wanted me to have a good job. So I just want to thank everybody for coming. This is a beloved community. I spent many, many years here, and now I'm down in Arizona, and this is a shout out to all my new Arizona friends, especially my beautiful woo-woo moms who I love so much. Thank you so much.